Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on mainstream media's complete lack of context with regards to the Israeli war on terrorism. Now, as you might know, 6 South Africans were arrested last week with regards to the Flotilla. The reasons for that is because Israel is currently in a war. They don't want any aid to come into the country that might assist Hamas. And they don't know what the people are dropping off in the water that goes eventually to the coast. So it makes complete sense that Israel would defend their border, whether it is land or whether it is sea. So the 6 South Africans got arrested because they participated in this flotilla. And now a lot of people are screaming about international waters, this and that. But what they forget is that it is currently a war zone. So, of course, different rules are going to apply. But with that being said, the president has also given his take on it, and let's have a look at what he said. So Cyril Ramaphosa said the following: the interception of the global summit flotilla is another grave offense by Israel of global solidarity and sentiment that is aimed at relieving suffering in Gaza and advancing peace in the region. On behalf of our government and nation, I call on Israel to immediately release the South Africans abducted in international waters and to release other nationals who have tried to reach Gaza with humanitarian aid. Yeah, that's right. So Cyril Ramaphosa will bring out a press statement asking about the 6 South Africans. But where was Cyril Ramaphosa on October 8th, a day after Hamas killed 1,175 people and took over 250 people hostage? Where was his sympathy then? There was none. But of course, now, because of these 6 South Africans that we all know is safe, we know that Israel is not going to kill them. Now he has so much to say. And I will speak about the atrocities of October 7th, 2023, because it seems that mainstream media and our government doesn't want to talk about the obvious things. But before I do, I just want to bring your attention to another post that went out, and it had the following to say. Now, this post was done by News 24, and they say it's been 5 days since Nosekane Rabia Mandela last heard her husband's voice. She lies awake at night, worried for his safety while facing her children's questions. Will they kill daddy or will he be okay? Now, I definitely feel for the children and I definitely feel for his wife, but why is he on a boat close to Israel when he should be at home with his family? And if that wasn't enough, because mainstream media has to drive this narrative, I have to give it to the Embassy of Israel in South Africa. They came back hard and they had the following to say on the post by News 24. They said, as you can see, it's the Embassy of Israel, South Africa, and they said, Dear News 24, she doesn't have to worry or lie awake at night. We trust Dirko Zeta has informed her that all South Africans who tried to enter illegally will be expelled tomorrow via Jordan. As always, it's the South African taxpayers who get the honor of paying for their fellow citizens' deportation tickets. Firstly, well done to the Embassy of Israel for that insane clapback. That was brilliant. And then also, it's an interesting fact that these 6 South Africans will now be brought back to South Africa on taxpayers' dime. So I want to know whether Mandela and his other 5 individuals that went with him, whether they will pay back the money that it has cost the South African taxpayers. Oh, and I just want to ask the following question to these 6 South Africans that had to travel thousands of kilometers away to go and grandstand on how they want to help people. Why did you not just remain in South Africa? That's one of the most violent countries in the world. Because guess what? Every single day, there are more murders on average in South Africa than in Gaza and in Palestine specifically. So you decided to travel thousands of kilometers when you could have stayed in South Africa and helped fight this battle that we have in South Africa, where we have 84 murders every single day. We have a violent sexual crime taking place every few seconds in this country. And we have millions of people that live below the breadline. They live in poverty. And you thought you would rather get on a plane and then just chill on just off the coast of Israel because that is what you thought was the right thing to do. And of course, no, it wasn't for media or for publicity or for grandstanding. No, it was because you really felt the need to help those people, but you ignored the millions of people in South Africa. That just blows my mind. But also, to bring this close to home, so these people that are grandstanding are now being flown back on South African taxpayers' money. Great. I hope that you repay that. But more importantly, it seems that the government and mainstream media consistently forgets what led to what is playing out right now. The media don't really want to talk about October 7th, and the government sure as hell don't want to talk about October 7th because that doesn't help them. Because on October 7th, 1,125 people were minding their own business. It was a religious day, and then Hamas terrorists decided to invade Israel illegally and kill 1,125 people and took 251 people hostage. That was October 7th, 2023. Here we are now, 2 years later, to the day, and there are still some hostages that have not been returned. And we don't know if they are alive or dead, and they can't communicate with their family members. And the question I have is, why did News 24 not run a story about that? Because News 24 will run the following story for you. They will say, it's been 5 days since Nosakaini Rabia Mandela last heard her husband's voice. What about the Israelis that haven't heard their families' voices for the last 2 years? And if you want to say, but Renaldo, this is so much more than just October 7th. Okay, so let me give you that hall pass, even though it is completely indefensible that you kill 1,125 people that are civilians and you take 251 people hostage. Besides that, let me ask you a question. Do you know how many rockets have entered Israeli airspace from Palestine since 2001? Take a guess. Just a wild guess. Yeah. Over 40,000 rockets has been launched by Hamas and Hamas-affiliated individuals into Israeli airspace. Now, remember that they fired those rockets not knowing who it's going to hit. They didn't care whether it was going to hit civilians, whether it was going to actually hit some military target. But the fact remains that if Israel didn't have the Iron Dome and the slingshot of David or whatever it's called, then the casualties would have been in the hundreds of thousands. Because if you just use common math, 40,000 rockets, more than 40,000 rockets. But mainstream media won't tell you about that. The government won't tell you about that because they want to create this narrative that Israel just one day decided, hey, we had enough of Palestinians, we are going to go and murder them out. But they forget what led to this war on Palestine and specifically Hamas. They don't want to tell you about that. They don't want to tell you about what has happened over the last 25 years that has led to this. What would you do as a nation if your neighboring country fires over 40,000 rockets at you over 20 years? What are you going to do? And the rest of the world doesn't listen to you. The rest of the world calls you an apartheid state, calls you all these negative things. What would you do if you were Israel? At some point you have to say, we need to end this once and for all. We need to eradicate Hamas. And listen, I feel for every single victim. Doesn't matter on which side they are. I hate war. I despise war. I always think that is the lowest level that mankind can stoop to, is to go into war with other nations. But ultimately, if we look at what is happening in Israel and what has been happening over the last 20 years, even longer, but I'm just talking about since they've kept records of rockets being fired, you will understand why Israel is at this point where it's like, enough is enough. Stop coming after our citizens. Like we are a sovereign nation, and on October 7th, 1,125 of our people were brutally murdered, and 251 people were taken hostage. And before that, for the last 25 years, over 40,000 rockets were launched at us. At what point does mainstream media go, you actually have a point? Or when does our government go, yeah, okay, we really can't defend this? It's also important to note that if you look at civilian casualties when it comes to wars, they are very, very high, and they sometimes are almost more than the soldiers that fought the war. So it's not as if Israel is doing something that in other wars haven't taken place. Now, please note that one civilian death is one death too many. And I understand that a lot of people are frustrated and agitated, and I agree with you. I want nothing more, as corny as this might sound, for peace in the Middle East. I really do. But when you have mainstream media and the government lying to people, saying that it is Israel that is this evil force, when for the last 25 years, all they've tried to do is protect themselves from 40,000 rockets being fired into their airspace. I mean, at some point, you have to say, yeah, it is quite clear in black and white who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And guess what? The bad guys is clearly a terrorist organization that is known worldwide to be a terrorist organization. So can we just stop it? Today is October 7th. It is time that we remember those people who were brutally murdered, and those people that are still alive that haven't seen their families for 2 years, and we don't know in which state they are in. It's time to cut out the bullshit. It's time to acknowledge that on October 7th, a massive injustice took place. But yet, if you look at most of the world that is against Israel, you won't hear that October 7th took place. It's important to brush away this mainstream media bullshit narrative that want to paint this picture that Israel is the bad guys and Palestine is the brilliantly beautiful, did nothing wrong, just victims. It's time for us to acknowledge that on October 7th, 2023, over 1,000 people lost their lives and 250 people were taken hostage. At what point do we acknowledge that? That those individuals woke up that morning just wanting to live their lives, and then Hamas terrorists came and killed them and took them hostage. It's time to acknowledge that before you want to just give things out of context that happened after the fact. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video far and wide, and if you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a member. You can do so by clicking the join button below. And that's all I got to say. Till later, cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre.